Hi, welcome back to My Cupcake Addiction. Today we're going to be making miniature laptop cupcakes, and I'm actually teaming up with the guys over at Squarespace. They're making the web a better place by helping people to create great online content, so I thought mini laptop computers was the perfect way to collaborate with them on this video. I'll leave a link down below if you want to find out more about Squarespace. Today's laptops can be color coordinated, so Mac or PC, I got you covered. To make your little laptops, you're going to need, obviously, a cupcake to frost. I've also got some of our perfectly pipeable buttercream frosting, and I'm going with purple today, but any color you like. I'll link to that recipe down below. I've got some cornflour in a shaker, a paintbrush, a sharp knife, a regular knife, and then a really small, sharp, pointy knife. I've got some tap water. These are just 2 standard sized Lego bricks stuck together, which is the perfect size for you guys to measure out your laptop screens. I'm making a plain black laptop today, so I'm just going to be using black fondant, but if you wanted to make your Apple Mac laptop, you'd need grey and white, whatever colour you like. I've got a fondant rolling pin, and I'm going fancy on my computer screens and using edible images, so if you don't have access to an edible printer, I will link to the template down below, and you can most of the time send that to your local cake decorating store and they'll print it out on their edible printers for you. I've got some aluminium foil for setting our little laptop shapes on today, and I've also got just a craft mat or a chopping board so that we don't damage the benches. Let's get into it. The first thing that you want to do is you want to tear off a decent length of your aluminium foil, and it doesn't really matter how much. Fold it in half and keep it as flat as you possibly can while you're folding it, and then fold it in half again. Make sure you're not adding any creases to it and that you're getting your seams or your folds really nice and neat and sharp. And all up, you want to fold this about 4 times so it's got enough strength to support your laptop. Open it up so it resembles an open laptop and put it off to the side. Sprinkle down a tiny bit of your cornflour, not too much, or you'll end up with white spots all through your black fondant, and then swipe your black fondant around in that cornflour before rolling it out. Don't roll your fondant out too thin here, and I'll also mention that I've added a little bit of Tylose or CMC powder to help mine set a lot faster. If you don't have that powder, you can still do it. They're going to take 12 to 24 hours to set. If you have the Tylose or CMC, they're going to set in about 6. You can see I'm just rubbing the top of my fondant and also the back to make sure that I've got no white spots on there. And then taking your 2 Lego bricks, which I measured out as being the perfect size for these tiny little laptop screens. Place it down so that you've got enough room around the outside for a little outer edge of your computer screen, and then push it down really firmly. That's going to make the indent for your computer screen and somewhere that we can stick those edible images. Once you've done that one, you're going to do a very, very faint outline for your keyboard, but you don't want this to be too deep here. So leave a gap in between the screen and the keyboard, about double the width of the outside edge of your little laptops, and then just position your Lego block again and gently press it down, not too hard. Taking your knife now, you want to cut on either side of your 2 little Lego brick marks, leaving that little gap for the outer edges of your screen and also of your keyboard. Cutting away the top and the bottom, you should have a nice rectangle piece. For your keyboard now, you just want to use the edge of your Lego block, and you're going to place that in. You need 5 rows of keys in total, so you'll need 6 of these little lines. You can see I'm just tilting the Lego block and then pressing it down quite firmly, not enough to cut through the fondant, but firm enough to give me a nice little indent for those keyboard keys. Using the narrow edge of your Lego blocks, you just want to mark out 3 lines evenly spaced on either side. We're going to do the other ones with a knife because you want to leave that bottom line as a space bar. So taking the back of my knife, not the sharp point, I want the fatter back, I'm going to just position right at the top. So you'll notice here that I put the point of the knife into the top of the line and just do the first 2 keys, and then I turn the knife upside down and kind of come at it backwards rather than trying to do the whole line, because you'll never get a neat finish. So the point of that knife goes again up against the space bar to do those bottom 2 keys. That's the neatest way I've found to achieve this look. Press the knife in where the top 2 keys and the bottom 2 keys join up, and that's your keyboard all done. To make your little trackpad, I'm using the back of my knife again and just doing 2 short lines and 2 longer lines to create just a small indented rectangle in the bottom section of your computer. I'm continually checking that my laptops are straight because you don't want these edges to be anything other than dead straight. So just grab a ruler and a knife, or a couple of rulers, and just press them up to the edges to make sure you've got that beautiful straight edge rectangle. Take your edible image now, and if you're having trouble getting this off the backing paper, I like to use a really thin knife and just slide it in between the image and the backing paper. But if you're having any trouble, pop it in the freezer for 5 minutes before you attempt to remove it. It'll make it a bit easier to handle. Handle your edible images really carefully, and if you can't find them or you don't have access to them, you can just use thinly rolled white fondant and some edible markers to make your own designs. Take a little bit of that water, not too much, and make sure that you're getting it right into the corners of your little computer screen indent. Make sure you completely coat that, but really you don't need to dip it more than once or twice. You don't want too much water on your screen, just a really thin coat. Take your edible image now and pop it straight into that little indent, which should be about the perfect size, but you will need to take just the back of your knife and just press it gently around all 4 edges to make sure it's really nice and flush with your laptop screen. To finish your laptop, you just need to take your sharp knife now, and with the sharp side, push in an indent right in between the base of the screen and the top of the keyboard. It needs to be quite deep, but don't cut through, so something like this. Take your alfoil laptop stand now, and when you've got 5 or 6 of this, it will have a bit of weight in it, so you can rest it up against the alfoil box just to give it a bit of support. Fold your laptop in half on that little seam that you've cut, and when you place it onto the stand, make sure that the back of the screen is flush up against that foil. To make your little tiny mice now, you're taking a really small little ball of fondant, and you just want to roll it into a ball and then rock it into kind of like a bit of a jelly bean shape. Then you want to take a really sharp knife, and I'm just going to make one little line across the front, about 1/3 of the way down, and then one coming right down towards the front of that piece, down towards the center, kind of looking like a simple mouse with little mouse buttons. To frost your cupcake in that flat top style, you want to scoop on a ton of frosting, more than you're going to need, and then use the back of the knife to kind of squish it down so it's going out over the edges of the cupcake case. Wipe the back of your knife and then just run the flat back of your knife around the edges to give you that sort of high, flat edge. And then you want to use the back of the knife again just to flatten off the top as smooth as you can get it. This is a great style of frosting that doesn't need any fancy equipment. Take your little laptop now, and you want to stick it straight down onto the cupcake with that little mouse beside it. There you've got your completed laptop cupcakes. These are utterly gorgeous, perfect for any tech nerds, perfect for any of you guys that absolutely love your laptops. Thanks again to Squarespace for the inspiration to create these gorgeous little mini laptop cupcakes. Make sure you check out that link down below if you want to find out more about them, and also for 10% off if you're a My Cupcake Addiction viewer. Thanks very much for watching.